Hello. In this video I'm going to show you how to calculate the slope of a line, and we're going to calculate it two different ways. First of all with the slope formula, and then second of all by sketching it on a graph, and then we'll compare those two ways. Okay, so here's an example where we're asked to calculate the slope of the line that goes through A, -3, 2, and B, 3, 5. So we'll do it two different ways and then we'll compare the two ways. First of all, with the slope formula, we've got m equals, so the difference in the y's, or the change in y's, y2 minus y1. And remember that how much the y's change, that's how much we go up on the graph, so that's the rise. The run is how much we go over on the graph, so that's the difference in the x's. x2 minus x1. Alright, now before we can substitute in, we need to decide which is our y2 and y1 and x2 and x1. So we're going to choose one point to be the first point. It doesn't matter which one you choose. I'll choose A, I guess, because it's first in the alphabet. So in this point A, I have an x and a y. And I'm going to call them x1 and y1. The important thing here, these could be x1 and y1, but the important thing is that x1 and y1 have to be on the same point as each other. Okay, so if this is my x1 and y1, then I've got another x and y over here, and they're my second point, so I'll just call them x2 and y2. So if you ordered them differently than someone else who's doing the same question, your next step would look different, but you get the same answer. Alright, so we've got y2, so that's 5. Subtract y1, so that's 2. Divided by x2, so that's 3. Subtract x1, so that's -3. So be real careful if you've got a negative sign, a negative number, that you substitute that number in brackets. If you like here, you can write down this extra step. Just remembering that subtracting a negative number is the same as adding the positive. So 3 subtract -3 is the same as 3 plus 3. Alright, so 5 subtract 2 is 3, and 3 subtract -3 is the same as 3 plus 3, and that's 6. So then we just simplify that. 3/6 is the same as 1/2. So the slope of that line is 1/2. So an advantage of doing it this way is we don't need to sketch a graph. And it also works equally well if these were in some ways messy numbers, like -29.47 or 86 or whatever. There's no problem. You just substitute them into the formula and calculate. One disadvantage is it's hard, without having a sketch, it's hard to know if that answer is reasonable. It's pretty easy to make a little mistake, for example, with these negative signs, and to come out with the wrong answer. So, we'll take a look at a graph, and there's advantages and disadvantages to each. Let's just sketch a graph. Won't necessarily be perfectly accurate, just to get an idea. So the point A is at -3, 2. And the point B is at 3, 5. So that tells us right away the slope of this line is positive, because it goes in this direction, not this direction. And it also, we can be pretty sure this line looks kind of flat. It looks less steep than this one, which is about 45 degrees. So this tells us that the answer is going to be closer to 0 compared to a slope of 1. Alright, so let's look at the rise and run here. We'll start with point A. To get to point B, we go over like this, and we go up like that. So this is the rise. Let's look at how we get the rise. We need to know how much do we go up to get from 2 to 5. So you probably know the answer to that, but let's just consider that one way we could have done that was doing 5 take away 2. 5 subtract 2. And we get 3. And then for the run, we want to know how much did we go over from -3 to get to 3 for the x values. And so one way we could have done that is to do -3 subtract -3. Most people won't really think of it this way because you'll think of it as 3 plus 3 over here plus another 3 over here. But remember that those are the same thing. So 3 subtract -3 or 3 plus 3, and that's 6. So the slope is rise over run, which is the change in y divided by the change in x. And so that's 3 over 6, and that's 1/2. So just to underline this a little bit, see the rise over here, the 5 minus 2 equals 3, that is exactly the same as this. So we're doing the difference of the y's, and we come out with 3. And the run is exactly the same as this. So most of the time you can use whichever method you like. You should be able to use both easily. So practice for the first little while, practice whichever one you're less comfortable with, probably the formula for a little while. And then once you're really comfortable with both, then just use whichever you feel like for each question. Alright, good luck.